Hello, folks, and welcome back. We are doing a quick switch over to the interview portion of the live stream, and I am honored to, well, oops, excuse me, I just noticed that the stream, my voice is up on the stream, so let me just get rid of that. Uh, all right, so I'm honored to have both Blue Ink and SavanaPope from Legends of Equestria joining us today. So if you two would be so gracious to say hello, that would be fantastic.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Indeed, indeed. So, can you two kind of give us a quick idea as to what your responsibilities or positions in the Legends of Equestria staff is?
Sure. Yeah, I am the PR director for Legends of Equestria. I talk to everyone on behalf of the game, and I just show everyone how awesome the game is. I'm also a writer, which means I work on the storyline, write dialogue for NPCs, and help make NPCs as well.
Fantastic. And Savannah?
Let's see. I am the design lead, and I also co-lead the 3D team currently. So we mainly worry about all the boring document stuff and also all of the 3D assets before you see them beautifully painted by our 2D team.
Fantastic. Sounds great. So, for the folks within the chat who may not be familiar with what Legends of Equestria is, but be it that unfortunate situation to be in, how about you go ahead and illuminate them on what exactly the game is and how it's going to work and what some of the what kind of neat features you're going to have included within the whole package.
Sounds good. Legends of Equestria is a MMORPG based on, My Little Pony. So we will be. Oh, sorry, I have an echo. So there will be. You can do basically anything. You can make your own character, which we have up on our site, legendsofequestria.com. You will also be able to engage in quests and let's see, you can do lots of combat, lots of mini games, just endless things. You can see on YouTube that we have some pictures of you being able to visit a number of places, just in Equestria. So that is just some of the great things we're going to have in the game. So it's huge, just huge social game. It's great fun.
Very cool, very cool. And could you kind of give us a little bit of a backstory as to how Legends of Equestria got started, and what inspired all of you to sink so many hours of your life into this grand fields of a project?
Oh wow, that's actually quite a story. Do you want to start with that, Poppy?
Sure, I can start. Well, I was kind of on the team after it sort of was founded, but I think I've been here long enough, um, just to describe what I've heard so far. And basically, it was just a whole bunch of designers, and as everybody knows, back when My Little Pony was starting to get really popular, it just exploded on the design and the creative side of things. And I actually saw a post out there just on EQD, and they were asking for 3D modelers. So I got into it, and it's just a huge network of designers all around the world. We have designers in almost every continent, and we use a whole bunch of online tools to network together. And based on everybody's talent that we're able to find all around the world, we've been able to develop such an amazing game for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's LOE was just a group of people coming together for something that they really, really love to do. So it's just a labor of love, and it is something that we hope we can get out to the public very soon. And yeah.
Very cool. And have you begun any sort of testing at all, or has it mostly been within internal testing thus far?
We have been testing, yes. Every time we release the game, it is to test the servers
Hmm.
and to see how the game runs with having a lot of people on it. So yes, we have been doing a lot of testing. I think our first test was it a year and a half ago, Poby? Do you remember?
Oh man, that was a while ago. I'm not
That
sure,
was a while
but
ago.
I mean,
But
each
yeah.
test is just been so knowledgeable. You know, you got to know that we're all pretty, you know, amateurs at, you know, such a large endeavor, and just the things that you find out, the wealth of knowledge from even opening the game up for, you know, 48, 72 hours, like, you know, learning how the servers are going to interact with hundreds, if not thousands of people trying to patch in. You know, we're able to learn and make a whole bunch of updates. Like, I mean, our lead programmer's already made some really impressive updates where, you know, locationally based will determine the amount of data you send. Because currently, how the data works is, you know, as in any MMO, it gets exponentially more data the more players. And, you know, just recently, you know, our lead programmer, based on the last open server, was able to reduce the load on that. And, you know, all bunch of situations like that we learn from.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. And so, if you don't mind me asking, I know you mentioned the location, but what kind of locations within Equestria are you going to be including in LOE? Like, where can users expect to go and explore?
Well, for the most part, everywhere in Equestria, we have areas ranging from areas like Canterlot to areas like Appaloosa, and a lot of other areas too in between them, actually. Popey has been doing a lot of work on the places in between cities and towns, so it's going to be a lot of stuff for you guys to see.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because we're trying to sort of take a mix of areas. You know, of course you're going to have the Ponyville, you know, the iconic Canterlot, you know, Cloudsdale areas, you know, that are just fundamental to each race. But, you know, what we're allowed to do is sort of in the in-between areas, you know, where, you know, you may go out and, you know, roam the world, you know, where you kind of see on that very large canon map of Equestria, but they don't really go into detail in the show. That's where we're really able to, you know, kind of push our own creative potential and, you know, do some nice map planning. Like right now I'm working on a sort of an unreleased area, but basically it's going to be the overworld map, and we're allowed a lot more freedom to really kind of explore the map as, you know, our concept artists and our designers would imagine it in our gameplay, and, you know, not so much having to follow the rigidity of, you know, the main towns everybody knows of.
Mm-hmm. So you really want to kind of emphasize that open world context where people are going to be able to have a lot of room to explore, and not only to explore, you know, those well-established areas, but also to potentially see sides of it that they wouldn't have otherwise experienced based on what your concept team is working on, and then having the kind of creative space available within those in-between areas, right?
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
and, you know, that's really how I feel we get the mix, because, you know, you really don't want to just do a one-for-one carbon copy of the show, especially because, you know, now that we're entering season 4, you know, we may not even know what's going to change, you know, once they're starting to release new scenes, new areas, or maybe revisiting old areas and portraying them in a different light. So
Hmm.
it's really nice to, you know, kind of give our concept artists some room to flex their muscles, and also it lets us focus on areas that we can build from the ground up to cater to our gameplay. You know, we don't have to have like, you know, a rigid layout. We can say, all right, our gameplay is going to be X, so, you know, we want Y layout for that.
Yeah, that's something we're really enjoying is in those big, original in-between areas is we get to have things like, original monsters and mobs and combat, and it's going to be quite exciting, not to mention, a variety of quests and interesting characters in those sorts of areas.
Okay. And I'm kind of curious because you did mention combat. So what exactly are you looking at in terms of a combat system?
Well, that is Popey's area, so he is doing a lot with combat. So you tell him all about it.
Yes, I've written quite a number of documents on it. Me and the entire design team has been working quite hard on it, and it's really quite an exciting just growth. You know, even from when I've been on the team. The idea is that, you know, just like the show, you are going to get to choose a cutie mark based on a series of cutie marks that we have. and depending on what cutie mark you choose, you will get essentially a tree, similar to an ability tree that you may see in other MMOs. But one of the very fundamental aspects to our, quote-unquote combat system is that, well, we don't want it to just be focused on combat at all. We want players to be allowed to go into the game and not only be able to, go out in real time, kind of confront monsters, reduce their stamina, have, sort of the traditional sense of a confrontation system. But we also want to allow players, if they'd like to, kind of stay in the town, they can focus more on the questing or the role-playing elements. They can do cutie marks, which still have quite a bit of content and aid and build on other cutie marks, but aren't necessarily directly combat related, such as, if you look at mining, for instance, the way that it builds, you're going to need, specific components like ores and items like that in order to, create other items which will be used in combat. But mining itself is not, a combat skill in itself. So, we're really trying to not just make it like pure combat focus, because I mean, that was a fundamental path that we chose based on the nature of the game. It's not all about fighting if you look at, the visuals and the source material we use.
Of course. Well, so I really kind of like that comprehensive picture that you have going. It's really opening up for different types of gameplay, or different flavors of gameplay that each person can describe to you. So you can kind of get that mixed feeling. Like one moment you want to go and maybe fight some changelings, and another moment you're in town or whatever town that may be, and then chatting with fellow players, and then you know engaging in whatever kind of quests are available. And I know you have mentioned quests on a couple occasions, so what I would like to know is what kind of quests have you been looking into doing? Are you going to be doing more of like the linear quests, like go fetch 5 items of this as part of like the experience building process and kind of learning some of the game mechanics, or are you going to have some sort of dynamic form of questing where there will be different objectives that are made or that are unlocked as a stage of the quest takes place? And yeah, if you could maybe explain a little bit more about that, that'd be good.
Well, I mean, frankly, in regards to the types of quests you're describing, we're doing all sorts, actually. We are doing those and more. Everything from, the fetch quest sort of thing to enhance the learning experience and to help out NPCs to, learning about different characters and the environment and then applying that in quests. So there is actually quite a lot to do just for quests, and even quests will include mini games and challenges, and there will also be long-ranging quests as well, as in you do the first quest and then later on you find an NPC related to whatever events you were doing in that original quest, and then you continue that quest. So it's quite an extensive system at this point. I think right now we have, I want to say, at least 120 quests written. That is roughly the number. Do you know, Popey? Or
I mean, if you talk to Bloomberg, he's our lead quest our lead writing
person.
Yeah, if you talk to him,
Brony, whatever maybe.
I think he claims over 200, based on.
I think Bloomberg is right. I've seen about 200 quests. I've written a few of them myself. So yeah, you'll have a lot of quests, and not to mention the number of NPCs. Oh my.
So how does this kind of play into the narrative with your personal character in terms of the relationships that you build through those quests? Do those relationships that you make with either NPCs or with some sort of site or area in which you engage in that quest, so those come into play later in the game in a significant capacity, where they either affect the outcome of a future quest or the formulation for a later part in the story, or how can you explain a little bit more about that if
Sure,
that has
sure.
that into place?
There is both a system of choice. There's always a choice system. Every quest has, your options to, you have almost always at least 3 dialogue options for what to say. So there's a lot of choice involved in that. And then there's also an extensive, just huge main storyline where you do make relationships with a certain amount of NPCs, and those NPCs and your interactions with them do come in throughout the entire course of the storyline and of the game. So if that's something that you're interested in as a player of going forward through the storyline and learning more about these characters and about their lives, and through that the rest of the world, that is something that you'll definitely be able to do.
Hmm. Excellent, excellent. That's really good to hear. And I'm sure this question's already come up, but just to kind of clarify, because I know there's been a bit of discussion in the chat about it, will any of the NPCs be including characters currently from the show, or no?
No, there will be no NPCs of characters currently from the show. There will be no show characters involved. Sorry, everyone, but we got to do that.
Not understandable. There's the concern of copyright infringement, and you don't want to get in trouble with Hasbro
Exactly.
unless somehow you manage to get approval, which if you do,
Oh, well.
you
You know what? You know
We
what?
could only dream. We could only dream.
Only a dream.
only a dream, only a dream. But so.
But yes.
So, with that being said, are there any what has been some of the current development work that you and your team have been really pushing now? Because you've got like some of the engine stuff down, you've got some of the mechanics worked out, and you're well working into the narrative and the questing. But has there been like a particular point of development that you've been really focusing in on for like the last month and a half now?
Well, first let me say that a lot of recent development has just made huge leaps. A lot of the videos you're seeing are actually fairly old from our YouTube,
Hmm.
because we do have a completely playable game that is actually very entertaining on its own as it stands. But one of the major things we've been pushing recently is the implementation of enemies,
Hmm.
of health system, and combat. Those are the biggest one right now, for sure.
Yeah,
That
I mean
that has
it's
been big
really
for us.
it's really with such a large project, it's really multi-pronged on what we're pushing for. I'd say as far as areas go right now, Cloudsdale is key. Many of the users here may have been around for our last open server, which was showcasing some new animations we had, as well as the entire city of Canterlot. So we're focusing on really completing that race arc with their locations, and then also as Blue said, with with the gameplay mechanics. Um, Currently, there's some behavioral tree stuff going on, and there's also some like integrated combat systems. I don't want to go in too deep because it gets a little hairy, a little bit technical. But yeah, a lot of it is about some of the more standard conventions. When you look at stamina, energy, cooldowns, kind of how you would define that. Maybe a little different than how we define it, but it is an MMO with real-time combat. And then sort of our more unconventional mechanics. We have a really awesome system called the tension system we're planning for you. It's going to be one of the really unique driving forces in the combat system, and also mechanics for specific cutie marks as well that would tie into combat. So that's what I would say, at least from a design standpoint. My standpoint is the main focus right now.
Okay, great. So, unfortunately, we might gonna have to cut this a tad short, but I would like to ask if people are interested in checking out Legends of Equestria, or if there are any um, potential projects that you have in the works, either more showcasing of what you've done in the form of like a live stream event, or just general ways to keep up. What would you suggest to potential potentially interested folks?
Well, firstly, the most important thing is that you keep an eye on our website, legendsofequestria.com, and for real-time updates, you can look at our Facebook, just Legends of Equestria. And we've also got our Twitter, which will update, very quickly. That'll be the first place you hear about new news and things. But yes, we do have a lot planned in store for all the players. We do have more open servers or open server time planned. We do have more live stream events planned, and you will be able to see a lot of the game. And actually, our live stream, Legends_of_Equestria, is very, very active. We have a lot of 3D modelers who are just fantastic, and even Popey goes on to there to 3D model sometimes, and you can just watch the production of the game live as we work. And yeah, there are going to be open servers very soon. I can tell you that.
Yeah, we can't really announce it yet, but I would stay updated pretty soon.
It's going to be announced very, very soon. You will hear about it everywhere. It'll be great.
Ooh, very exciting, very exciting.
Mhm.
I'm personally looking forward to getting into some of the actual gameplay myself because I missed a previous opportunity since I was in the middle of
Oh
Patreon
no.
at that time. But this time I'm ready. I'm ready and willing. So,
I would like to advise firstly that if you're looking to play the game when the open server weekend comes out, which will be soon, um, I would like to say that you should go to our website and register,
okay,
because registering is a process that will sometimes take time.
right.
And if you want to play the game, you gotta you're limited on time for now. So, all right.
All right, noted. So I think we have just a couple of minutes to take a few quick questions. So if anybody in the chat would like to put out a couple of questions to the lovely Blue Ink and SavanaPope here, please do, because Legends of Equestria is definitely one of those pony projects that is worth following. And I'm now just even far more excited to see what's in store with after listening to you guys talk a little bit more about what you have going on.
Oh, so glad to hear it.
Okay, we got one question here. What kind of mini games will there be?
Oh, a huge variety. Um, Gosh, I can't even. How many do we have now, Popey?
Well, I'm gonna nip it in the butt a little bit there. Mini games are integral for certain crafting-based cutie marks. Because without the real-time combat, we have other ways to, kind of give you your interest beyond just sort of menu browsing. But mini games, while they're quite important, they're not the focus right now. So, if I were to give a number, and this isn't definite, but I would say there's going to be less than 5 mini games because, we have the whole active component of the real-time combat. So that's a bit more high priority right now.
For the moment, yeah.
All right, sounds good. And then got another quick fire question here. Will there be other species other than ponies as NPCs?
As NPCs, yes, there will be a variety of species. In fact, a lot of monsters and a lot of species that you wouldn't actually see in the show. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Alrighty, alrighty. And then one last question. Back to the minigame, actually. Do the types of ponies like Unicorn or Pegasus or Earth Pony make a difference for the minigames themselves?
Well, that depends. There are some class skills that will be affected by minigames, just certain ones. I don't think we have any certain ones we can mention right now, Popey, right?
Yeah, classes is definitely going to factor in with the active components and how you play them. You just have to look at the natural abilities, and that's being reflected into the combat and the active systems. As far as mini games go, the more neutral ones, based around crafting, they're going to kind of be balanced between characters, just because we don't want to close any one race off to be a lot better at a specific, task than another. And, within the combat system, it's going to be sort of a asymmetrical, balanced kind of thing, where they each have their pros and cons that balance out with each other.
Great. And I think we can take one last question. So let's see if we can grab that. I know I saw it. I know I saw the one that I wanted to ask here. And do you have an estimated date of release, or are we just gonna reiterate the statement? Keep an eye out.
Due
Open.
to the nature of a volunteer project.
Release dates are permeable, trademark, soon,
etc., etc. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I can tell you soon.
Soon.
Like, we are working on a lot of things, and we are working as fast as we can to make this completely awesome. So you'll be hearing from us a lot over our various social media.
Yep. Alrighty, folks. That is the wonderful, wonderful Legends of Equestria interview. Thank you very much, Blue and Popey, for coming on and telling us about what you got cooking and what we can expect to see in Legends of Equestria. And I'm particularly thrilled to hear that you guys are going to be having another open testing weekend soon. So I believe I speak for the rest of the chat and those included in the call that we cannot wait for that to begin.
Awesome, awesome. Great to be here, Rommel, and thank you so much.
Yep, no problem. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.